Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here. Welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. I've got some more ladder action coming away this afternoon. We've had quite a few team games. Hopefully that will have you stuffed and satisfied with the whole team format for long enough to me to get a couple of ladder matches in. First of all, though, reiteration once again, you have 1 day and a handful of hours left to pick up the Supreme Commander Forged Alliance deal on Humble Bundle for only $1. That's your last opportunity pretty much, guys. I will mention it again tomorrow, but there will be just a handful of hours left obviously tomorrow for you to take advantage of that. So if you're planning to do so but you haven't done yet, be mindful, guys, your time is running out. Anyway, on to today's game. It's going to be a 1v1 ladder match, and it's going to take place on the Dark Heart. So I'm very excited. Let's go over to the game zone and see how they are going to get on. And what's totally awesome about this is the first ladder match on the Dark Heart that I've casted since they've altered the map. That's right, you may previously have been aware that the ridiculous 2 starting locations, i.e. place 1 and 2, which dictates any location of 2 players in a 1v1 ladder match, was here and I think here, which is just absolutely ludicrous when you've got all this space on a map like this to have your 2 players here. It was either here and here or here and then down here or something. It was totally unsymmetrical and horrible, but now you can see that that has been corrected. Some clever sausage, and when I say sausage I do mean sausage, has I don't know where it comes from, sometimes it scares me, has moved whichever place that is, the 1 or the 2, over to this side, so it's nice and symmetrical. We get a decent kind of bisecting section going on between the 2 halves of the map, and a much more fluent war over the middle island, and what is essentially another section of middle islands going right the way down the middle. So anyway, let's take a look at the 2 players and where they're starting. Over here on the left-hand edge in the red corner, it's my good friend Chosen, recently devoid of his clan tags, literally his clan tags saying tag. It's something that never occurred to me before. He's going Aeon, and he's opening first land, second air, just in time there to see that second factory get queued up. And over in the blue corner to the far right, it's Mr. Smith. He's going Cybrin, opening first land, second air as well. Taking a look at what these guys are going straight off the back out of build queues. It's all engineers all day for that initial factory for Mr. Smith. Slightly more aggressive for Chosen. We're starting to see the odd Aurora. We've got an Aurora and a Spirit already making their way across the field from Chosen, presumably looking to go up to the northern edge of the island, waiting for some engineers. But look at the amount of naval factories queued up by Mr. Smith. More naval factories than I've lost games of SOPCOM, and believe me, that is a lot. Not so much these days because I never get time to play, but you know what I mean. This engineer now, though, looking like it could be in jeopardy should these 2 units decide to continue their course, which it looks like they're going to. We'll take a look at what Chosen can actually see with that radar coverage. You will be aware that that is an engineer, and should that Aurora work out how to traverse hills, which it eventually does, he should be able to pick up a kill there and manages to do it before that mass extractor gets finished as well. Super annoying if you're on the blue team for this one. Chosen looking like he's expanding slightly slower on the eco side of things, although that's probably about to change. There is another potential victim waiting at the back little island. I suppose it is kind of an island. That could potentially be a main landmass, but you just don't know. It finishes 1 mech, but I doubt it's going to be able to get time to start on another. In fact, it looked like it was beelining for that large boulder to reclaim. Mass, not so much premium on this map, of course. Lots of wrecks around, the Salem wrecks ready to reclaim. You've got more down here at the beaches as well. So real potential to expand quickly on this map, much so, more so than many other 1v1s. Also a ton of mass in a 1v1 situation. Obviously this is meant for a 2v2v2 style, classically, style match. One of my favourite maps for just that. Chosen, though, looking to be very aggressive in the early game. Is marching his ACU across to the central island. Going to go straight after that Trident wreck on the beach there, and could potentially set up shop in the middle. That will give him a nice little controllable footprint in the center of the map. Will make life a little bit easier for him in the mid game if he can hold on to it. But a Trident valiantly striding out from Mr. Smith, sitting off the beach here, Just popping the odd T1 unit that comes out of the factory as it goes, and also having a pop at some air units. We can see some bombers out there from Chosen. 3 land factories, soon to be 4, and an air factory in play for Chosen, plus 2 naval factories, compares to 3 naval factories and just 2 land factories and an air factory out from Mr. Smith. So Chosen slightly ahead in the manufacturing side of things in terms of unit build capacity and whatnot. Trident, meanwhile, making its way around the back of Chosen's base, is going to whale away on the northern of the 2, or most northerly of the 2 naval yards there for Chosen. There's Trident down here sitting on 12 kills currently, but that might be about all it's going to get. It manages to pick up a bunch more kills though in terms of those Auroras, until eventually a Sylph turns up and ends his day in tragedy. Mr. Smith had also made a move to the middle. He's got some engineers busy picking up mass around here, but it looks like he's going to move south and aim to grab all this. You can see him queuing up a land factory adjacent to that mech that will be spotted should Chosen remain there with his fighters, so he'll be aware of what's going on. Meanwhile, Chosen beginning to ferry across larger groups of Auroras. He's got a continuous build order from these land factories to spam out Spirits and Auroras. I'll give him a nice concrete base to work from. We're also airdropping engineers from Smith, but he's not going to be successful. Skyhook getting blasted out of the sky there. Skyhook or Dragonfly? Something you forget which is the T1 and T2, but either way, it matters not. It is neither. It is now just a smoking pile of wreckage on the beach. And a few Auroras now making it to the naval yards of Smith. Did have a Trident bearing down on them, but they've got a reprieve. Another Trident rolls off the conveyor belt, snags one of them, and the rest of the Auroras will go home as it starts to be a nasty quantity of naval units starts to accumulate in front of Mr. Smith's base there. Chosen now wheeling kind of southeasterly with this band of T1. And now we've got a Jester out for Smith, looking like he wants to come over here and harass this corner island. And Smith has managed to take out the most northerly naval factory, and now looks like he's going to have success on the other one too. It's going to leave Chosen temporarily without a naval factory, though he's queued up many more in between the central and starting island. And now it's been discovered, Smith's little plan of trying to bag the bottom island going to be unsuccessful. He's going to lose that factory and his ACU will be shooed off into the water. Thankfully no submarines around to harass the comm. Smith brings in his Tridents just to be on the safe side and start thinning out some of these Auroras. It's very interesting where these two guys are going. And we've actually got T2 Air from Chosen already producing Spectres, which he's using to harass some of these naval units from Smith. And Chosen abandoning the naval play temporarily. He has queued up more back here. He's changed his mind about the line of naval factories up the middle, but he's queued up a lot of air factories as well, so looking like he's going to go pretty heavily into air on this one. Mr. Smith blockading with a group of his Tridents in between the middle and most southerly island. Pops a little merry band of Auroras before continuing on his way, and Chosen needs to be really careful here he doesn't slip into a large naval deficit. Navy absolutely key on this map, and it's always very difficult, of course, to counter Navy purely with air. It does look like he's going pretty heavily into air. I guess his plan is if he can harass everything around the edges, keep Smith confined to his starting island. He's doing pretty well in the middle. He's got his comm. He's also got a couple of attack missile launchers, so he's going to be able to harass the mass. That should be an album name from a 90s hip-hop group. Harass the mass. He's doing quite nicely, actually, just with the Spectres. Nearly finishes off that T2 before switching up, picking off a couple of the tracers there. But loses too many gunships and is going to have to withdraw. Now's the time to launch a volley of TAC missiles. No TMD in here as yet. And still Mr. Smith's ACU wandering about beneath the central island. You can hear the TAC missile launchers firing there. Straight after the central base, taking out T2 mexes first. Now, where are we standing at the moment? Chosen on 49 mass per tick. Mr. Smith currently on 39 mass. Now, looking pretty good map control wise from Chosen, and you can see these Spectres doing their job already. He's knocked out all of the mexes down here. It looks like he's going up around the back. He's got a few Auroras harassing on the top island here. Get in amongst the pigeons, throw the proverbial cat amongst the metaphorical pigeons up here. He can take out everything pretty much up here. Not a lot of commitment to the air game from Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith taking a little bit of damage there on the ACU on around 8k HP. Ducks back into the water as he heads back towards his main base. TAC missiles still firing. This time they look like they're going after the T2 Naval Factory HQ. There is a zapper, though, stationed in the water. It's going to make life difficult for those TAC missiles now to get through. If the second one had hit, he'd have managed to have taken that out, but instead it doesn't. We've got a Mercy coming in as well. More zappers being queued up. I think he's going to be able to get any more penetration with those. I wonder if he's waiting for Mr. Smith's ACU to move somewhere, maybe prepare a little Mercy strike for him. But look at this. Chosen yet to take control of the bottom island, but he's certainly dominating the middle. He's taken out all of the eco on the top, although there is a single engineer rebuilding it. 51 mass, 55 mass to 23 now. How are we doing on reclaim? Chosen sitting on 16,700. Smith sitting on 13,900. So Chosen ahead in that respect as well. But I would definitely like to see more naval units on the field. He is upgrading that rear T1 Naval Factory to T2 HQ. Mr. Smith emerges back onto home turf, and Chosen erecting some miasmas in the middle. Can't tell exactly their range on that. Certainly all of the naval factories will be in range of that. Whether or not he can sting the main base is another matter altogether. And Mr. Smith rebuilding his air factory. Perhaps it got TAC missiled in that last barrage. And then suddenly a lull in activity. But you can see in terms of map control, Chosen firmly ahead. Could do with dispatching another gunship up here to take these out once again. But Mr. Smith has caught up a little bit on eco. Chosen not ecoing too hard at the moment. He is in fact upgrading that T2 air factory to a T3. That's going to be costly on power. I'm not actually seeing any T2 power gens at the moment, unless he's got it concealed somewhere. It's probably actually staring me in the face. Well, no, I don't think so. Yeah, there it is. So he's got one, and he's working on a few more. He's going to need that if he's going to start production on T3 Air. That's a lot of Tridents moving out from Mr. Smith, though. And they just cut their way through these Auroras. And the miasmas he was working on have been torn apart now. by long-range Salem fire. So if he'd have been a bit quicker with the artillery installation and its construction, maybe managed to get a little bit more defense up, some shielding, that would have been ideal, but he was just too far behind with his eco. He wouldn't have had the power had he managed to get it up. Now, Chosen down here with his ACU. Thankfully, it's nothing except frigates, so he's going to be safe from that. No submarines or anything are going to be able to harass that comm at the moment. Chosen on 67 mass. Mr. Smith must be having power issues. There we go. He dropped way down to 19 mass there for a moment. But Chosen, astonishingly, has lost the middle after looking so secure, but not able to tame these naval yards. That's what's done it. If only he'd had one more TAC missile or launched it just a little bit earlier, he would have taken out that naval factory, and that would have had him, or bought him, enough time to finish those miasmas, and then all of this would probably have had to been restarted back here somewhere. And from that point, I don't think I'd have been able to see any way back for Mr. Smith. But as it stands, looking a little bit more even now. A couple of submarines, a couple of slivers back here from Mr. Smith, wailing away on that top naval yard again. We have got a, that's an Exodus class destroyer under construction there, but we've got restorers in play now, or at least one. A couple more being produced as well. Has he got the power? No, he doesn't. He needs more power immediately. That's going to be affecting his mass income a great deal. 21 minutes gone in this one so far. As that restorer wheels round, having polished off all of the mexes on that top island, it comes in now to work on the exposed, most northerly mexes. There's no static anti-air coverage at all from Mr. Smith. He hasn't had the opportunity to purchase that yet. Some inties out for Mr. Smith, but not enough to cause any problems for those restorers. But look at this, decent success now down here for 2 Salems, a Siren, and a horde of Tridents, using their range to brush aside everything. All of this bottom island that was Chosen's is gone. Chosen's been evicted from the middle, and now this bottom left island as well, not looking so hot either. Chosen wants to stall the progression of that fleet. He's working on wave breaks, the T2 torpedo launchers there for Aeon, and finally he deals with those slivers, 2 of them. They've taken out both of those fringe T1 naval yards. They go down just in time to stop that T2 HQ from taking too much damage. Meanwhile, those restorers still alive, keeping a little bit of a wide berth from those naval units. Mermaid there that could do with being taken out. Chosen agrees, and so finishes it off. But in terms of how things have been going, yes, we've now got T3 Air on the field for Chosen. He doesn't have the eco yet to be able to take advantage of it. Power-wise, every time he starts building a restorer, it nukes his power. Hasn't got enough power to do that consistently. And I'm just a bit worried about the success that Mr. Smith's fleet's been having. Down here at the bottom, it's evened things up dramatically. And Chosen's actually even putting himself behind on mass with each restorer he builds, as that power drops into the flashing yellow. Torpedo bombers out trying to finish off this cruiser. 310 hit points though, it survives. And you can see the amount of build capacity on that T2 naval HQ there for Mr. Smith. Another nice little push of Auroras makes it onto the main starting location island, threatening a couple more mexes. he is anybody's game, but a surprising amount of interceptors on the field now for Mr. Smith. And he manages to knock out 2 more restorers. And the amount of mass and energy it's costing Chosen at the moment to produce those restorers. To give you an idea, Mr. Smith currently working on sirens mostly. It's about 18,000 power compared to the 65,000 power required to build these restorers. Chosen really needs to get some kind of fleet on board. I can understand why he's gone this way. He's not wanted to face this Cybran fleet straight up because of the obvious disadvantages in a 1v1 situation between Aeon, Naval Play and Cybran. The Aeon's going to lose out to Micro most times. Aeon can be stronger in games where it's 2 large fleets, it's a little bit laggy, and there's a lot going on and the fleets can't be microed too much because of the splash, the damage, the range, all of that, and the tank a lot stronger on the Exoduses. But when microed, they are easily avoidable, and on a map and a game like this they would be. So I can understand why Chosen's not wanting to get bogged down in a straight naval battle. I think he needs something, even if it's just some Vespers or something, to tame these fleets, because the amount of anti-air that's going to be coming off these sirens now, which seems to be what Mr. Smith is primarily focusing on, throwing the odd Salem in there for good measure, but it's mostly cruisers. Now some of these T1 factories on the forward beach for Chosen getting nuked. (32 mass to 69). Goodness me, what a turnaround. Mr. Smith trying to drop some NGs and actually manages it. That Skyhook completes the drop, and it is Skyhook for the T1. I heard that earlier. I think I'd know all of this by now. Luckily for Chosen, he's got a restorer in the area, pops all of that build capacity and stops the forward progression. But look at this. What a different story this is from just a few minutes ago. This fleet brushed aside everything on this island, and Chosen finds himself without any real answer to this at all. He's building naval yards back here, but it's going to be too little too late. 87% done on that next Exodus. But as soon as he starts bringing out anything like that, Smith can just rush him. And of course, the advantage of these Salems, he can just walk these straight up here and continue to push up the land as well. And meanwhile, all the time, Smith's settling down here. We have got some restorers down here, which Chosen needs to be utilizing to continue the contain down here. But I actually think it might be a moot point. I think Chosen is beaten, and I cannot believe it. He was so very far ahead earlier on. He was just a little bit too aggressive, I think, with that rush to T3. He didn't have the eco for it to get out enough restorers, and he was also very unlucky. He'd have landed that second TAC missile, or the first TAC missile, on that Naval Factory HQ. That would have changed the entire fortunes of this game. I'm pretty sure of it. But as it stands, Chosen's base lies in ruin, with little or nothing left. Restorers trying to make a nuisance of themselves, but there's just too much anti-air, especially in this main section of the base right now. He has to stick to harassment on the fringes. He can pick up all of this again, but what use is it all when he has no base at all? He's not going to get any kind of work done in this area down here. Mr. Smith's going to be able to hold on to that, and meanwhile his own base is just in tatters. And now that T2 Naval HQ is next. I think I can safely say that that is GG. Very nicely played, Mr. Smith. He stuck to his guns. As Chosen's ACU is located, you see he was trying to distance build up the cliff there. If he gets some power back, he starts reclaiming some of these tridents. Smith needs to get his Salems involved, which he does. Chosen begins to shed hit points. So very nicely played indeed from Mr. Smith. Commiserations, Chosen. You played a good game. Just timings were a little bit off. But like I say, could easily have gone the other way. And as Chosen's ACU goes critical, that will draw this game to a close. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. Don't forget that Humble Bundle, guys, if you haven't already picked it up. Very, very important. Thank you again to Mr. Smith for placing that one on the replay thread on the forums. And like I say, as always, guys, I will see you again next time. In the meantime, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle, signing out.